My brother Andy, 40-year-old male, has a 9-year-old daughter, Ella. Andy always had custody of Ella. Her mum was an addict who passed away several years ago. When Ella was 2, Andy met his wife, Trish. Trish was a single mum of 2 who are now 18 and 17 years old. They got married, and Trish and Andy made a very big deal out of Trish's kids being big siblings to Ella, and how much she would adore them, and how they needed to embrace and love her and make her feel wanted. But Trish's kids were not on board with this and were vocal about it. They resented Ella over time because she was often dropped into their laps to pose for photos and for bonding time. Oftentimes, it was everyone sitting down to watch TV, but Trish would pick Ella up and sit her between her kids or on one of their laps. Then Ella would cling to Trish's kids. The older Ella got, the more she thought Trish's kids hung the moon and stars in her eyes. She adored them. She wanted to hang out with them. She was proudly calling them her siblings, and Andy and Trish would tell Ella how much Trish's kids loved Ella. They told her they were so happy at the wedding to become her big siblings. They told her they made a promise in front of everyone to be there for her always and declared how much they loved her. They even showed her some fake stuff the kids were supposed to have said. I was at the wedding. I was there almost every second as my brother's best man. They never said anything like that. They did say they wanted Ella nowhere near them and to get the kid away. The lies filled Ella with so much false belief that Trish's kids thought as much of her as she did them. Several months ago, things came crumbling down when Trish's daughter, 17, was left to babysit Ella for several hours, and she made it clear she did not love Ella and never saw her as a sister, and neither did her brother. She told Ella that Andy and Trish lied and asked why they would want her. She was never their actual sister. They share no parents, etc. It crushed Ella, and Andy was pissed. Trish's son apparently laughed when Trish called him up to find out how he felt about what his sister did. He said it was about time Ella realized they didn't give a care about her. Andy told me everything. He has vented to me multiple times over the last few months. He has said this was never meant to happen, and nobody would have figured this would happen, except me, of course, since I warned him repeatedly when I first heard about the lies. He blames Trish's kids for breaking Ella's heart. He said Ella will never be the same, and she's not even opening up in therapy, and how he wishes he could make Trish's kids pay. A few days ago, he was particularly angry, and I told him this was his fault. I pointedly told him he never should have lied, and now he was living with the inevitable consequences of his lies. Andy didn't like that, and told me I was a jerk for blaming him, and for expecting him to tell Ella that Trish's kids hated her. He said I was as bad as them. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Everyone sucks here. Andy sucks about lying, but Trish's kids are 18 and 17. Old enough to know the difference between being truthful and being unnecessarily cruel to a small child. Comment 2. This is all very over the top and bizarre. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your brother and sister-in-law definitely are. Now for the update. Last Thursday, Ella was rushed to the hospital. She had been withdrawing into herself more and more, and I guess the stress became too much for her little heart to bear. They say it was arrhythmia triggered by acute anxiety. She's stable now, but the doctors are keeping her for observation because they're worried about the psychological toll. Trish and I have been at the hospital day and night, taking turns to be with her. The look in Ella's eyes when she sees us walk in is just... It's like she's searching for something, some reassurance that we can't quite give her. Trish's kids, they haven't visited. I asked them to, tried to explain how much it would mean, but they just don't seem to understand, or maybe they don't want to. It's like they're disconnected from the whole situation. Work has been hounding me too. I've had to take unpaid leave to be with Ella, and it's starting to strain the finances. Trish is trying to be strong, but I catch her crying in the hospital bathroom when she thinks no one is looking. We're all just trying to hold it together for Ella, but it feels like we're failing her in some way we can't quite grasp. A social worker has been assigned to help us navigate Ella's mental health needs when she's discharged. It's a relief, but also a heartbreaking confirmation of how serious this has become. We're looking into therapy options, anything that could help Ella understand that she's loved and wanted. I keep replaying that conversation with the narrator in my mind. Maybe they were right. Maybe I pushed too hard for a happy family picture, ignoring the cracks that were clearly there. I just wanted Ella to have a family, you know. But in that I might have missed what she really needed, to feel secure and accepted on her own terms, not just as a piece of a family puzzle I was desperate to complete. I just hope we can find a way to mend Ella's spirit after this. It feels like we're at a breaking point, and I can't bear the thought of my little girl suffering any more than she already has. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's a tough situation, but you're clearly trying your best to support Ella during this difficult time. Taking unpaid leave shows your dedication as a parent. It's unfortunate that Trish's other children aren't involved, but that's not something you can control. Focus on Ella's recovery and don't beat yourself up over the financial strain. You're doing what's necessary for your child's well-being. Comment 2. You're the idiot for not recognizing the warning signs earlier. It's great that you're taking action now, but Ella needed that reassurance and security long before it reached this point. It's your responsibility as a parent to be aware of your child's mental state and to foster an environment where she feels accepted. It's time to reflect on what could have been done differently and ensure that moving forward Ella's emotional needs are a priority. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The health of your child comes first, and sometimes that means making sacrifices like taking unpaid leave. It's commendable that you're seeking therapy for Ella and trying to provide a nurturing environment. Don't let the other kids' lack of involvement shake your resolve. You can't force them to care, but you can make sure Ella knows she's loved and supported by her immediate family. Stay strong and keep advocating for her recovery. Now, for the next story, she is going to go camping with a friend. The destination is about 200 kilometers one way, 3 hours more, so about 400 kilometers plus total. About my car, it's 5 years old. It has 250,000 kilometers on it when I bought it, which is over 20 years worth of usage to an average driver. The reason I was okay to buy that is because of how little I drive compared to an average driver. I figured I got a good deal because of the poor mileage on it already, and over time it would even out to be average. It is also a 4x4 truck with mud tires, so the fuel efficiency is pretty bad. The trip that she would take would be more usage than what I use it for in a year. Not to mention not having my car for 4 days, which may or may not be an issue. I don't anticipate needing it, but it's impossible to say. It's 3 months away. I first agreed to it as she doesn't have a license. She has a learner's, and she would be driving with her fully licensed friend, so her driving it would be legal. I trust her to use it, and if she damages it, I trust her to pay for the repair. I don't trust the friend. She is now anticipating getting her license within the next couple of weeks. I brought up the idea that since she is getting her license, maybe she could rent a car then. It turned into the biggest argument that we have had in ages, her calling me selfish and things. The selfish thing is hurtful because I consider myself completely selfless with her. I figured if she rented a car, she wouldn't need to worry about putting 400 kilometers on a rental. The gas would cost less, and I would get to keep my car. Yes, she has the cost of the rental, which I wouldn't even mind paying for or helping with. That's not the issue. Anyways, I'm just wondering what others think. Thanks. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. She probably shouldn't drive a truck. She has no experience driving right after she gets her G1 on a long road trip. Also, anybody that guilts you into letting them use your vehicle is not your friend. Comment 2. Not the idiot personally. I would not want to take the chance on the vehicle breaking down. Just the fact that she doesn't care that you would be left without transportation for 4 days is selfish on her part. Comment 3. Info. How old are you? If you're under 25 age, then she probably can't rent a car. Most companies have age restrictions. Now, for the update. Surprise. Surprise. It all turned out way better than I feared. After that big blow-up over the car situation, things were super tense for a while. We gave each other some space, which honestly was probably for the best. I spent that time reflecting on our friendship and realized that a car, no matter how beat up or beloved, wasn't worth losing a lifelong friend over. I missed the camaraderie, the inside jokes, just having my friend around, you know. A couple of weeks went by and I got a text from them out of the blue. They'd just gotten their full license, congrats were in order of course, and had been doing a lot of thinking. They apologized for the argument, saying they were just nervous about their driving and took it out on me. It was a pride thing, they admitted. They didn't want to feel like they were being coddled or that I didn't trust them with their new license. Turns out they'd been secretly saving up and wanted to split the cost of the rental car as a peace offering. They even suggested we upgrade to a more fuel-efficient model so we could both feel good about the environmental impact too. It was such a mature move, and it made me realize that they were really stepping up. So we rented this cool hybrid SUV, and let me tell you, that car was a dream. Super smooth ride, great on gas, and we even had one of those roof carriers for extra camping gear. The trip was amazing. We got that blend of adventure and relaxation that you only get from being out in the woods with no cell service and your best friend by your side. We spent nights around the campfire, catching up, sharing stories, and even broached the subject of our argument. We both agreed it was a stupid thing to fight over and promised each other that we'd communicate better in the future. The highlight, though? One evening, as we were hiking back from a waterfall, we saw a mama deer and her fawn. They were close enough to watch, but far enough to be safe, and we just stood there in silence, soaking it all in. That moment sort of sealed our renewed friendship. It was like nature's stamp of approval. The car made it back without a single hiccup, and the rental wasn't nearly as expensive as I feared, thanks to the fuel efficiency and the shared cost. It turned out to be one of the best trips I've ever had, and not just because of the views or the wildlife. It reminded me of the value of forgiveness and the strength of a good friendship. In the end, it wasn't about who was driving or what car we took. It was about the journey, the company, and the memories we made. Can't wait for our next road trip. We've already started planning it. Now for the comments. Comment 1. You're the idiot for making such a big deal over the car in the first place. Your friend was just trying to be practical about the trip. It's a car, not a statement of your friendship. Good on them for being the bigger person and apologizing first. Next time try to be more understanding and less materialistic, maybe. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Sometimes arguments happen, and it's how you resolve them that matters. Your friend stepping up to apologize and offering a solution shows they value your friendship. Plus, switching to a more fuel-efficient car is a smart move for both the environment and your wallets. Sounds like you both learned something valuable here. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Glad you both gave each other space instead of letting the argument escalate. Taking time to reflect is a sign of maturity. And it looks like your friend's suggestion was a win-win, making the trip better and patching things up. Here's to many more road trips and growing friendships. Now for the next story. So I, 21-year-old female, am just wanting to know if I'm in the wrong here because half my family says I am, while my mum is in total support of me. All my life I've been raised by my single mother, Tina. My biological dad has never once been in my life, and I've never had a fatherly role model either. It's just been me and her, and to be honest, I'm fine with that. I've heard my biological father did some bad things, so I've had no desire to build a relationship with him. But I was close to my aunt, his sister, before this happened, who always wanted us to have a relationship. Well, a few days ago I get a call from this number and I answer it. All the man says is, "Hi, it's your dad." I immediately hang up and block the number. I tell Mum and she's proud of me. But then my aunt and grandma on his side of the family go off and scream at us saying I'm heartless for not wanting to get to know my dad. They think it's wrong for my mum to keep us apart. I don't see it that way because I have no desire to meet him. She's asked if I wanted to, and I've always said no. Prior to this call, he's never wanted to know me either. I think I was the jerk for saying I don't have any desire to know him ever to my relatives. Now half the family is calling me a jerk for saying that and not wanting to know him. Am I the idiot for hanging up on my biological father? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. The relatives giving you trouble over this need to learn their proper place. They can have a relationship with him if they want. That doesn't obligate you to have a relationship with him. It is none of their business and they should Steph you. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Ask Tina what changed after 21 years. I mean, FFS, now you're an adult and dude's like, great, let me get to know this person who I don't have or be responsible for. I'm sorry, what changed? Now for the update. Out of nowhere, my mom sat me down and dropped a bombshell. My bio dad isn't my biological dad at all. Turns out, my mom had an affair with her best friend's husband back in the day, and he's my real father. She never told anyone because she didn't want to ruin multiple families. My dad was just a close friend who agreed to play the part when she got pregnant to save face. Before I could even process this, my actual bio dad showed up. He'd somehow found out about my mum's reveal, small town, big ears, and wanted to talk. I agreed, still in shock. He told me he'd always suspected I was his, but didn't have the guts to step forward. He apologized like a lot. I didn't know what to feel. Anger, sadness, betrayal. While I was dealing with that emotional hurricane, my aunt, the one from my dad's side, found out about the affair. She went nuclear, accusing my mum of being a homewrecker and me of being an illegitimate child, as if I had any say in this mess. She blasted this all over social media, and it turned into a small-town scandal overnight. Then, another twist, my biological dad's wife, who I've known as my mum's friend my whole life, came by, alone. She said she'd known about me all along and had made peace with it. She actually hugged me and said she was sorry for all the secrecy and that she cared about me in her own way. It was surreal. My mum's been a wreck, full of apologies for how things turned out, and I'm just here trying to make sense of a life story that changed overnight. I haven't made any decisions about what role, if any, these people will play in my life going forward, but I guess I have 2 dads now, or none. It's complicated. So am I a jerk for not wanting to get to know my first bio dad? Maybe that's the wrong question now, but if nothing else, this mess has taught me that family is more than just blood. Sometimes it's the people who stick around without any obligations, and sometimes it's the secrets that bind you together. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your mum and bio dad made some pretty huge mistakes, but you're the one left to deal with the fallout. You didn't ask for any of this drama, and you have every right to take your time figuring out how you want these relationships to look going forward. Family is what you make it, and sometimes that means setting boundaries with the people who are supposed to protect you. Comment 2. You're the idiot for not being more understanding of your bio dad's situation. It's clear he was in a tough spot, and he did apologize. Maybe he could have handled things differently, but holding on to resentment won't change the past. It might be worth trying to find some empathy for him and your mum's friend. They're only human after all. Comment 3. Not the idiot at all. Your aunt spreading the news on social media was totally out of line, and it's understandable you're overwhelmed. Don't let anyone rush you into deciding how you feel about all this. You're entitled to process these revelations at your own pace. It's a lot to take in, and your feelings are valid no matter what anyone else says. Now, for the next story. My father-in-law is older and at this point cannot care for himself. He is homeless but refuses help from us. He was recently put into the hospital and we took in his dog for what we thought would be temporary. The dog was super skinny, heavily matted, an Aussie doodle, and overall just super dirty. We have spent over $300 in supplies to groom and care for it, and it gets along so well with our original dogs. We own our own house and have a huge yard and just an overall more active lifestyle. Am I the idiot for deciding not to give her back? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. The dog was being neglected. Let him see his dog once in a while, though. Now for the update. After much internal debate and many sleepless nights, the tides have turned in a way I didn't anticipate. Following his hospitalization, my father-in-law began a slow but steady recovery. It turns out that this was a wake-up call he needed. With a clearer mind, he finally accepted the help my spouse and I had been offering. It was hard for him to admit that he couldn't go on living the way he had been, but the fear of losing his dog, who he loves dearly, catalyzed a change in his perspective. We started by finding him a small but comfortable apartment within our budget. It's on the ground floor close to our place, and he can manage it quite well with his current physical abilities. His dog, now healthy and sprightly after a few months of proper care, visits him daily. We've worked out a schedule where I bring the dog over in the mornings and then take him back to our house in the evenings. This way, the dog still gets to be active in our large yard and go on runs with me and our other dogs while keeping the bond with his original owner. Meanwhile, my father-in-law has been taking steps toward mending relationships and building a more stable life. He's attending therapy, something he never would have considered before, and is looking into part-time work that he can manage. He's even joined a local community centre where he's slowly making friends. The most heartwarming part of all this has been watching the transformation in both him and his dog. His eyes light up with a spark that we hadn't seen in years whenever his furry companion jumps into his lap, and the dog is unrecognisable from the matted, skinny creature we once took in. They both needed each other, and somehow they've spurred one another on towards a better, healthier life. I was wrong to think of not giving the dog back. This situation showed me the power of patience and the impact of compassion. Sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom to start climbing back up, and I'm grateful I could be part of that climb for both of them. We're not sure what the future holds, but for now, we're cherishing these small victories and the new bond forming within our family. It's a delicate balance we're maintaining, but it works, and it's brought a sense of peace and purpose back into my father-in-law's life. It's been a lesson in understanding, and honestly, the dog is now more like a family pet shared between two homes, loved fiercely and cared for by all of us. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. You're the idiot for not considering the dog's feelings in this situation. Dogs can experience separation anxiety and confusion when their living situation changes. You seem to have prioritized the father-in-law's recovery without taking into account the potential stress on the dog from being shuffled between two homes. Comment 2. Not the idiot at all. You've done a wonderful thing helping your father-in-law get back on his feet. It's not easy to step up like that, and the fact that you included his dog in the plans shows how thoughtful you are. Many people wouldn't go to such lengths. Your compassion likely played a huge role in his improvement. Comment 3. Not the idiot, and kudos to you for fostering such a positive environment for healing. It's amazing to see families come together to support a member in need, and it sounds like your actions have helped your father-in-law regain his independence and confidence. Plus, the dog gets double the love and care, which is a win-win in my book. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.